the collapse that reveals who you really are. Everything falls apart at the same time. Not gradually, not in a way you can prepare for, but all at once. Plans you trusted collapse without warning. People you believed would stay begin to disappear. The structure of your life, the one you thought was solid, starts to crack in front of your eyes. And in that moment, there is no strategy, no script, no comfort left to hold on to. There is only you, facing what remains. This is the moment most people fear, avoid, and spend their entire lives trying to prevent. But this is also the moment that reveals who you truly are beneath everything you built to feel secure. Because when everything external is stripped away, what remains is not your status, not your possessions, not even your relationships. What remains is your mind. Adversity does not create weakness, it exposes it. It reveals the hidden fractures that were already there, silently shaping your thoughts and decisions long before anything went wrong. It brings to light the beliefs you never examined, the fears you tried to ignore, and the identity you built on things that were never meant to last. And now, without distractions, without illusions, you are forced to confront what is real. Most people believe the pain is what destroys them. They think the loss itself is unbearable, that the weight of what happened is simply too much. But if you observe closely, you will see something different. Two people can walk through the same storm, face the same loss, endure the same silence, and yet emerge completely different. One collapses internally, consumed by bitterness, confusion, and despair. The other becomes sharper, stronger, and more grounded than ever before. The difference is not the event, it is the interpretation of the event. In the book of Job, chapter 1 and 2, a man loses everything that defined his existence. His wealth is taken, his children are gone, his health deteriorates. Everything that once gave him identity and stability disappears in a sequence of events that defy logic and fairness. Yet what makes his story timeless is not the suffering itself, but the posture he chooses in the middle of it. He refuses to let chaos redefine who he is. He refuses to surrender his inner ground, even when the external world offers him no reason to stand. This is where most people lose the battle. Not when something is taken from them, but when they allow that loss to dictate the meaning of their life. When they begin to believe that what happened to them defines who they are. When they internalize the chaos and let it reshape their identity from the inside out. Right now, if you are going through a difficult season, understand this with absolute clarity. The real battle is not happening around you. It is happening within you. It is happening in the thoughts you repeat, in the conclusions you are drawing, in the way you are interpreting what you are experiencing. Every reaction you have is either reinforcing your strength or feeding your collapse. This is the turning point most people never recognize. They keep fighting the external situation, trying to fix what is outside, while ignoring what is being formed inside. But the moment you shift your focus, the moment you understand that your mindset is the true battlefield, everything begins to change. Because now, instead of asking why this is happening to you, you begin to ask a different question. Who are you becoming because of this? And that question will take you somewhere most people are not willing to go. It will force you to confront a deeper truth, one that challenges everything you thought you controlled. The illusion of control. Why life needs to go off your plan. You were taught to believe that control is strength, that if you plan well enough, think far enough ahead, and make the right decisions, life will respond with stability, order, and predictable outcomes. This belief becomes your foundation. It gives you a sense of safety, of direction, of certainty. But it is also one of the most fragile illusions you will ever hold. Because life does not negotiate with your expectations. It does not adjust itself to your plans. And sooner or later it will confront you with a reality you cannot organize, cannot predict, and cannot control. This is not a mistake. This is a necessary disruption. The more you try to control everything, the more you suffer when things move outside your reach. Control creates attachment, and attachment creates fear. Fear of losing, fear of failing, fear of uncertainty. And when what you tried to control inevitably slips away, the mind reacts with resistance, frustration, and confusion. not because the situation is unbearable, but because your identity was tied to something that was never stable. In the book of Job, chapter 1, everything is taken from him in a sequence that leaves no room for intervention. There is no strategy he could have used, no decision that could have prevented what happened. This is what makes his story so uncomfortable. It removes the illusion that good behavior guarantees protection, or that life follows a formula of fairness. And yet, in the absence of control, something greater is revealed. Job does not collapse into chaos because his foundation was not built on controlling outcomes. His strength was rooted in something internal, something that could not be taken from him. While everything external changed, his inner posture remained anchored. This is the difference between those who are shattered by adversity and those who endure it with clarity. You must understand this clearly. Control is not power. It is often a subtle form of fear disguised as preparation. True power is the ability to remain stable when control is no longer possible. It is the ability to face uncertainty without losing yourself in the process. The Stoics understood this with precision. In Meditations, Book 2, Paragraph 1 of Marcus Aurelius, he reminds himself that external events are not within his control, but his response always is. This is not passive acceptance. It is disciplined awareness. It is the recognition that while you cannot dictate what happens, you can dictate who you are when it happens. Most people resist this idea because it feels like surrender, but it is the opposite. When you stop trying to control everything, you stop wasting energy on what was never yours to command. You begin to see reality more clearly. You begin to act with intention instead of reaction. And this is where a deeper challenge begins. Because even if you accept that you cannot control everything outside, there is still something far more difficult to confront. What happens when the real test is not what you lose, but what you think when no one is watching? The invisible test. When no one sees your internal battle. There is a moment in every season of adversity when the noise fades, the opinions stop, the advice disappears, and the external chaos becomes silent. This is where most people think the battle is over. It is not. It is only beginning, because the real test was never what happened to you. It is what you are saying to yourself about what happened. No one sees this part. No one hears the conversations you have in your own mind when you are alone. The doubts that repeat themselves, the questions that do not have answers, the silent conclusions you start forming about your life, your worth, your future. This is where the direction of your life is truly decided. You can lose everything externally and still remain intact internally. But if you lose control of your inner dialogue, you begin to collapse, even if nothing else changes. This is why so many people appear strong on the outside, but are already defeated within. They did not fall because of the situation. They fell because of the narrative they allowed to grow inside their mind. Psychology calls this cognitive framing. The meaning you assign to an event shapes your emotional and behavioral response to it. But this is not just theory. This is the mechanism that determines whether adversity becomes your breaking point or your transformation. In the book of Job, chapter 2, after everything has been taken from him, he is confronted not only with suffering, but with voices that try to reshape his interpretation of that suffering. His own environment begins to suggest that his pain is proof of failure, punishment, or abandonment. This is where the invisible test intensifies, not in what he lost, but in how he interprets why he lost it. And this is where most people fail. They adopt interpretations that weaken them. They begin to believe that adversity means they are not enough, that something is wrong with them, that their future has been compromised. These thoughts do not stay as thoughts. They become identity. And once something becomes identity, it starts to control your decisions, your emotions, and your perception of reality. You must understand this with precision. Your mind is not a passive observer. It is an active interpreter. And if you do not consciously direct it, it will default to patterns of fear, negativity, and self-preservation. This is why discipline is not just about actions. It is about thought. It is about refusing to let your mind construct a version of reality that weakens you. It is about observing your thoughts without immediately believing them. In Enchiridion section 1 of Epictetus, he teaches that some things are within our control and others are not. But most people misunderstand this. They think it refers only to external events. It also refers to your internal narrative. The thoughts you choose to reinforce are within your control, and they will either anchor you or destroy you. When you are alone, when no one is watching, when there is no external validation or correction, that is when your true discipline is revealed. Not in what you say publicly, but in what you allow privately. And if you do not take control of this internal space, something dangerous begins to happen. Because under pressure, the mind does not remain neutral. It starts to distort reality. The mind under pressure. How suffering distorts your perception. When pressure increases, clarity decreases. This is one of the most dangerous dynamics of adversity, and most people are not even aware it is happening. They believe they are seeing reality clearly, when in truth, their perception is being altered by the weight of what they are feeling. Suffering does not only hurt, it reshapes how you interpret everything around you. It narrows your vision, amplifies what is negative, and silences what is still working in your favor. What was once balanced becomes distorted. What was once manageable begins to feel overwhelming. This is how the mind protects itself. It prepares for the worst by assuming the worst. It tries to avoid further pain by expecting more pain. But in doing so, it traps you inside a version of reality that is darker than the truth itself. Psychology identifies this as cognitive distortion. Patterns like catastrophizing, where the mind jumps to the worst possible outcome. Negative filtering, where you only notice what is going wrong. Emotional reasoning, where you assume that because you feel something strongly, it must be true. These are not just abstract concepts. They are silent forces shaping your decisions, your reactions, and your sense of identity. And when you do not recognize these distortions, you start making conclusions that weaken you. You begin to believe that things will never improve, that you are stuck, that your situation defines your future. You stop seeing possibilities. You stop seeing options. You stop seeing yourself as capable of navigating what is in front of you. In the book of Job, as the suffering continues, the pressure intensifies not only externally, but internally. The questions become heavier. The silence becomes louder. And yet, what makes his endurance remarkable is not the absence of pain, but his refusal to let that pain rewrite his perception of reality completely. This is the difference between feeling something and becoming controlled by it. Pain is inevitable, distortion is optional, but only if you are aware enough to separate what you feel from what is actually true. Marcus Aurelius reinforces this in Meditations Book 4, paragraph 3, when he reminds himself that the disturbance does not come from the event itself, but from the judgment about the event. This is not a denial of reality. It is a correction of perception. It is the discipline of questioning your own interpretation before accepting it as truth. You must learn to pause in the middle of pressure, to observe your thoughts instead of immediately reacting to them, to ask yourself whether what you are believing is accurate or simply a reflection of your emotional state. Because if you allow distorted thinking to guide your actions, you will begin to create outcomes that reinforce that distortion. You will act out of fear, withdraw from opportunity, and limit yourself based on conclusions that were never objectively true. And this leads to a deeper level of strength that very few people develop. The ability to remain composed without reacting to everything you feel. The power of silence. Why reacting less makes you stronger. Most people feel the need to react to everything, to explain, to defend, to prove, to respond. They believe that silence is weakness, that if they do not speak, act, or justify themselves, they are losing control of the situation. But the opposite is often true. When you react impulsively, you reveal your instability. When you respond to every provocation, every discomfort, every emotional impulse, you give your environment control over your state of mind. You become predictable, and anything that is predictable can be manipulated. Silence, on the other hand, is not passivity. It is discipline. It is the conscious decision to not allow every external stimulus to dictate your internal state. It is the ability to observe without immediately engaging, to process without rushing to respond, to endure without needing to prove anything. In moments of adversity, this becomes even more critical. Because pain creates urgency. It pushes you to act quickly, to say something, to do something, to escape what you are feeling. But not every impulse deserves action. Not every thought deserves expression. In the book of Job, throughout his suffering, there are long stretches where he remains in silence, not because he has no pain, but because he refuses to reduce his experience to reactive words. This silence is not emptiness, it is containment. It is strength being preserved instead of wasted. Most people speak too soon, they react too fast. They expose their confusion, their fear, their instability without realizing it. And in doing so, they weaken their position internally and externally. Because every unnecessary reaction drains energy, clarity, and control. The Stoics understood this deeply. In Discourses, Book 1, Chapter 2 of Epictetus, he emphasizes that it is not what happens that disturbs us, but our immediate reaction to it. And that reaction, if not controlled, becomes the source of unnecessary suffering. When you develop the discipline of silence, something changes. You begin to create space between stimulus and response. And in that space, you gain power. The power to choose your reaction instead of being driven by it. Silence allows you to observe patterns others miss. It gives you time to understand instead of assuming. It protects your energy from being scattered across meaningless conflicts and emotional impulses. It makes your presence more deliberate, your words more precise, your actions more effective. This does not mean you never speak. It means when you do, it is intentional. It is controlled. It carries weight because it is not constant. And more importantly, silence strengthens your inner world. It forces you to sit with your thoughts, to confront what you are feeling without distraction, to build resilience instead of escaping discomfort. Because when you stop reacting to everything, you begin to realize something deeper. Faith is not about how you feel in easy moments. It is about what you choose when everything inside you wants to break. Faith is not a feeling. It's a decision made under pressure. Most people misunderstand faith because they associate it with emotion. They think faith is something you feel when everything is going well, when life makes sense, when there are signs that reassure you that you are on the right path. But that is not faith. That is comfort. Faith only becomes real when comfort disappears, when there are no answers, no visible progress, no external confirmation that things will improve. That is when the true nature of your faith is revealed. Not in what you say when everything is stable, but in what you decide when everything is uncertain. This is where most people collapse internally, because they were never trained to stand without emotional support. When the feeling disappears, they assume the foundation is gone. When the reassurance fades, they believe something is wrong. And slowly, they begin to abandon the very principles they once claimed to believe in. But faith is not sustained by feeling, it is sustained by decision. In the book of Job, chapter 13, there is a moment that defines this truth with absolute clarity. After enduring loss, pain, and silence, Job declares that even if everything continues to go against him, he will still maintain his position. This is not optimism. This is not denial. This is a decision made under pressure. And this is what separates fragile belief from unshakable conviction. When your mindset depends on how you feel, it becomes unstable. Emotions change quickly. They are influenced by circumstances, by thoughts, by external events. If your faith is tied to that, it will rise and fall constantly. But when your mindset is grounded in decision, it becomes consistent, even when your emotions are not. This is not easy, because making a decision in the absence of certainty requires strength. It requires you to act without guarantees, to hold your position without immediate reward, to trust a process that you cannot fully see. But this is where transformation begins. Because when you choose your mindset deliberately, instead of reacting emotionally, you take control of something most people never master. You stop being driven by what you feel in the moment, and you start being guided by what you know is right, even when it is difficult. The Stoics approach this from a different angle, but the principle is the same. In Meditations Book 6, paragraph 30 of Marcus Aurelius, he reminds himself that the mind can remain unchanged even when everything around it shifts. That stability is not given. It is maintained through conscious effort, and this is what you must understand. Faith is not something that appears when life becomes easy. It is something you choose when life becomes difficult. It is a position you hold when doubt tries to take over. It is a commitment you maintain when there is no immediate evidence that it will pay off. And if you do not understand this, something subtle begins to happen. You start interpreting adversity in a way that slowly turns you against yourself. The danger of misinterpretation. When you start to sabotage yourself. There is a point in every difficult season where the problem is no longer what is happening to you, but what you believe it means. This is where adversity becomes dangerous, not because of the event itself, but because of the interpretation you attach to it. The human mind is constantly searching for meaning. It cannot tolerate uncertainty for long. So when something painful happens, it tries to explain it quickly. It creates narratives, fills gaps, draws conclusions. And most of the time, those conclusions are not empowering. They are limiting. You start thinking that this is happening because you are not enough, that you failed in a way that defines you, that something is wrong with you, and that this moment is proof of it. These thoughts feel convincing, especially when they are repeated under emotional pressure. But they are not truth. They are interpretations shaped by fear. And once you accept a weak interpretation, something even more destructive begins. You start acting according to it. You withdraw when you should move forward. You doubt when you should commit. You hesitate when you should act. Not because the situation demands it, but because your interpretation has already decided your limits. This is self-sabotage in its most subtle and dangerous form. In the book of Job, chapter 4 and chapter 8, those around him begin to offer explanations for his suffering. They suggest that his pain must be the result of failure, error, or hidden wrongdoing. They try to impose a narrative that reduces his experience to punishment. This is what people do when they cannot tolerate uncertainty. They create explanations, even if those explanations are incomplete or incorrect. And this is where strength is required. Because if you accept the wrong interpretation, you will weaken yourself from the inside out. You will begin to see yourself through a distorted lens. You will carry a burden that was never meant to be yours. You must understand that meaning is not automatically true just because it feels convincing. It must be examined. It must be questioned. It must be tested against something deeper than your immediate emotional reaction. The Stoics were precise about this. In Enchiridion section 5 of Epictetus, he states that it is not events that disturb us, but the opinions we form about them. This is not a philosophical abstraction. It is a practical warning. Your interpretation can either anchor you or destabilize you completely. If you choose to interpret adversity as proof of your weakness, you will become weaker. If you interpret it as a process of refinement, you will begin to act differently. The situation may remain the same, but your internal state will shift, and that shift will change everything that follows. This is not about blind positivity. It is about disciplined interpretation. It is about refusing to accept the first explanation your mind produces, especially when that explanation diminishes your capacity to respond. Because the moment you take control of meaning, you take back control of your direction. And once you understand this, a new level of responsibility emerges. You can no longer allow your mind to operate without training. Mental discipline, how to train your mind, not to break down. At this point, everything becomes clear. If your interpretation shapes your reality, and your thoughts shape your interpretation, then the quality of your life depends on one thing most people neglect completely: the discipline of your mind. Most people try to control outcomes before they learn to control thoughts. They try to fix their external life, while their internal world remains chaotic, reactive, and undirected. This is why they repeat the same patterns, even when circumstances change. Because without mental discipline, no external improvement sustains itself. Discipline is not only about waking up early or following routines. It is about what you allow to stay in your mind. It is about what you reinforce, what you question, and what you reject. It is about building the ability to interrupt destructive thought patterns before they become beliefs. Your mind is not designed to automatically protect your growth. It is designed to protect your survival. And survival prioritizes safety, not expansion. That means your default patterns will often push you toward comfort, avoidance, and fear-based decisions. If you do not actively train your mind, it will keep you in cycles that feel familiar, even when they limit you. This is why discipline must be intentional. You must learn to observe your thoughts without immediately identifying with them. Not every thought you have is true. Not every feeling you experience deserves to guide your actions. There must be a separation between what appears in your mind and what you choose to act upon. This is where control becomes real. In Meditations Book 5, paragraph 1 of Marcus Aurelius, he reminds himself that the mind can choose to direct itself toward what is useful, regardless of what it feels. This is the essence of discipline. It is not about eliminating discomfort. It is about acting correctly in the presence of discomfort. Practically, this means you must train 3 fundamental aspects. First, attention. What you focus on grows. If you constantly focus on what is wrong, your perception will become dominated by negativity. But if you deliberately redirect your attention toward what can be done, what can be learned, and what remains under your control, your mindset begins to stabilize. Second, interruption. When a destructive thought appears, you do not accept it passively. You challenge it. You question its validity. You replace it with something more accurate and constructive. This is not denial. This is correction. Third, consistency. Discipline is not built in one moment of strength. It is built in repeated decisions, especially when you do not feel like making them. The more you practice directing your mind, the more natural it becomes. And over time, what once required effort becomes your default state. In the book of Job, throughout his suffering, what stands out is not perfection, but endurance. He continues to engage, to question, to remain present, instead of collapsing into complete mental surrender. This is discipline under pressure, not the absence of struggle, but the refusal to abandon stability. And this is what you must build, because without mental discipline, adversity will shape you randomly. But with it, adversity becomes something you can navigate, learn from, and ultimately use. And this leads to a realization most people never reach. While you believe everything is being taken from you, something is being constructed in silence. The invisible transformation, what adversity is building in you. There is a stage in adversity where nothing seems to improve, yet something within you is no longer the same. The circumstances may still be difficult, the answers may still be absent, but your internal response begins to shift. This is the transformation most people fail to recognize because it does not announce itself. It happens in silence. You believe you are losing. You believe something is being taken from you. But what you do not see is what is being built in its place. Adversity has a way of removing what is weak, superficial, or dependent on external stability. And in that process, it creates space for something stronger to emerge. Clarity begins to replace confusion. You start seeing what truly matters and what never did. The noise that once distracted you loses its influence. The opinions that once shaped your decisions become irrelevant. You begin to understand yourself at a level that comfort never allowed. This is why growth rarely feels good in the moment, because it often comes disguised as loss. It comes through pressure, through uncertainty, through situations that force you to adapt, whether you want to or not. In the book of Job, as the process unfolds, there is no immediate explanation, no instant restoration. What happens first is internal. His understanding deepens, his perspective expands. He begins to see beyond the limited framework that once defined his view of life. This is transformation before resolution. Most people miss this stage because they are too focused on what is not changing externally. They measure progress only by visible results, and when those results do not appear quickly, they assume nothing is happening. But the most important changes are not visible at first. They are structural. You are developing resilience, the ability to endure without collapsing. You are strengthening your emotional control, the capacity to feel without being dominated by what you feel. You are refining your judgment, the skill of interpreting reality without distortion. These are not small changes. These are foundational shifts that will determine how you handle everything that comes next in your life. Marcus Aurelius reflects this in Meditations Book 7, paragraph 8, when he reminds himself that obstacles are not interruptions to the path, but part of the path itself. They are not there to stop you. They are there to shape you. And this is where your perspective must evolve. You are not just going through something. You are being formed by it. Every challenge, every moment of uncertainty, every internal struggle is contributing to a version of you that is more stable, more aware, and less dependent on circumstances. But this transformation only becomes complete when you make one critical shift. You stop resisting what is happening and start using it. The turning point, when you stop fighting it and start using it. There comes a moment when resistance no longer makes sense, not because the situation has improved, but because you begin to see clearly that fighting reality is draining you more than the reality itself. This is the turning point most people delay, sometimes for years. At first, your instinct is to resist everything, to question, to complain, to wish things were different. You replay scenarios in your mind, thinking about how it should have happened, how it could have been avoided, how unfair it feels. And while this reaction is natural, it is also limiting. Because while you are focused on what should not have happened, you remain blind to what can be done now. The moment of change begins when you stop asking how to escape the situation and start asking how to use it. This shift is subtle, but it changes everything. Because now, instead of being positioned as someone reacting to adversity, you become someone extracting value from it. The same difficulty that once felt like a burden begins to reveal opportunities for growth, for clarity, for strength. You start to see that every limitation forces you to develop a new capacity. Every delay forces you to build patience. Every uncertainty forces you to sharpen your thinking. What once felt like an obstacle begins to function as a tool. In the book of Job, there is no moment where the suffering is suddenly reversed at the beginning. The transformation happens before the restoration. He moves from questioning to understanding, from resistance to alignment, not because everything becomes easy, but because his perception changes. And once perception changes, the relationship with adversity changes as well. This is not about pretending the situation is good. It is about recognizing that it can be used. The Stoics captured this principle with precision. In Meditations Book 5, paragraph 20 of Marcus Aurelius, he reflects that the obstacle in the path becomes the path itself. What stands in the way becomes the way. This is not a motivational phrase. It is a practical strategy. It means that instead of avoiding difficulty, you integrate it into your development. When you begin to use adversity, your energy shifts. You stop wasting it on resistance and start directing it toward action. You become more focused, more intentional, more disciplined. You are no longer waiting for conditions to improve before you act. You act within the conditions you have. This is where power begins to consolidate. Because the moment you stop needing life to be a certain way in order to function, you become adaptable. And adaptability is one of the most valuable forms of strength you can develop. Most people remain stuck because they are waiting for the right conditions. They believe they will act when things are clearer, easier, more favorable. But those conditions are not guaranteed. And while they wait, time passes, opportunities are lost, and their mindset weakens. You must reverse this. Act with what you have. Use what is in front of you. Extract value from every situation, even the ones you did not choose. Because once you learn to do this, something powerful begins to emerge. A state of mind that is no longer shaken by external change. Unwavering calm, how those who refuse to be destroyed think. There is a type of calm that does not depend on circumstances. It is not the calm of comfort, nor the calm of certainty. It is a deeper state, one that remains stable even when everything around it is unstable. This is the calm that most people never experience, because they confuse peace with the absence of problems. But true calm is not the absence of chaos. It is the absence of internal collapse in the presence of chaos. People who develop this state of mind are not unaffected by adversity. They feel it, they experience it, they go through the same external pressure as anyone else. The difference is internal. They do not allow the external world to dictate their internal state. Their reactions are no longer automatic. They are deliberate. This shift does not happen by accident. It is the result of repeated internal training. The ability to observe a situation without immediately becoming emotionally entangled in it. The ability to pause between what happens and how you respond. That pause is where calm is built. In the book of Job, even in the presence of immense loss, there is a posture that reflects this internal anchoring. Not denial of suffering, but refusal to be completely defined by it. His identity is not fully absorbed by what he is going through. This separation between experience and identity is what protects the mind from total collapse. Most people lose this separation. They do not say, "I am experiencing something difficult." They say, "My life is ruined. I am broken. I cannot recover." And in doing so, they merge their identity with their circumstance. Once that happens, every event becomes a reflection of personal failure instead of a temporary condition. The Stoics trained specifically against this collapse. In Enchiridion section 10 of Epictetus, he emphasizes the importance of distinguishing between what is within your control and what is not, and focusing only on what belongs to your internal domain. This creates stability not because life becomes easier, but because your center of gravity moves inward. When your calm is internal, external events lose their power to destabilize you completely. You are no longer reacting to everything. You are observing, processing, and responding with intention. This creates a presence that is steady, grounded, and increasingly difficult to shake. This is what people often misinterpret as emotional strength. But it is not suppression. It is mastery. It is the ability to feel without being controlled by what you feel, to acknowledge pressure without becoming consumed by it. And this changes how you move through life. You stop being easily influenced by urgency. You stop making decisions out of panic. You stop reacting in ways that later weaken your position. Instead, your actions become measured, precise, and aligned with something deeper than temporary emotion. This is the state of mind that adversity is trying to reveal in you. Not chaos, not collapse, but stability. And when this stability becomes consistent, something final becomes clear. Adversity was never trying to destroy you. It was testing what you were built on. The test that defines your destiny. There is a point where everything becomes clear. Not because the situation has fully changed, but because your understanding of it has changed. You stop seeing adversity as something that happened against you and begin to see it as something that revealed you. Life does not break people randomly. It exposes what was already fragile, and it strengthens what was already being built in silence. This is the final truth most people only understand in hindsight. What felt like destruction was often construction in progress. The real question was never about what you went through. The real question was what remained inside you while you were going through it. Because when everything external is removed, what is left is your mindset, your discipline, your interpretation of reality, and your capacity to remain steady under pressure. In the book of Job, after everything has been taken, what remains is not emptiness, but clarity, a deeper understanding of life, of suffering, and of the human condition. The story does not end with perfect explanation, but with transformation. Not everything is answered, but something within him is elevated. This is the pattern of real growth. It does not always come with closure, it comes with evolution. And evolution requires pressure. Most people want a life without adversity, but what they do not realize is that without adversity, there is no refinement. Without pressure, there is no strength. Without challenge, there is no development of inner stability. The Stoics understood this deeply. In Meditations Book 8, paragraph 27 of Marcus Aurelius, he reflects that obstacles do not block the path of reason, because reason adapts and uses whatever is in front of it. This is the mindset of someone who cannot be broken easily, not because nothing happens to them, but because nothing external defines them completely. And now you arrive at the final realization. Adversity is not the enemy. It is the test. It is the moment where life removes everything unnecessary so that you can see what is essential. It strips away illusion, comfort, and dependency until only your true foundation remains. And at this point, only two paths exist: Either you allow the pressure to define you as someone limited by it, or you use it to become someone who can no longer be easily broken. Because in the end, you are not defined by what you lost. You are defined by what remained when everything else was taken.